I was born, but I wasn't meant to live when I was born. For the first few minutes of my life, I was stilled, and my parents almost thought that I was about to die, but I shrieked after a while and then released some cry. Years after 2 years, again, the cycle of death will repeat itself in my life, and I was sick to the point of almost dying. Or my parents actually thought I was not going to survive, but my grandmother took the courage to go to where she heard that there was a referral where I could survive. And so she traveled miles, almost close to the border between the Ivory Coast and Mali. My grandmother's courage has been one of the key things that has actually made me to live up till now. She has been very instrumental in my life because I grew up with her. She cherished the fact that I came alive, and because of that, I was staying with her. I didn't have that much opportunity also to meet my mother for a long period of time. The entire bit of my life, I think I stayed with my own mother, 3 years only. But within the course of those 3 years, I actually grew up to learn a lot about my mother. I realized that she had a lot of resilience, a lot of love, a lot of care, and she struggled a lot to make sure that I was able to have what I required to have. My mother was a single mother. The first time I ever had to think about career in my life at that young age was because of my mother. We were talking, I can't remember how old I was then, but I think I must have been like 10 or 11. And then she did mention how she really wanted me. She said, she wanted me to become a doctor. And because of that, all my mind from that primary 4, primary 5, and 6, all the way going to secondary school was for me to become a medical doctor. Then I realized that at a point in time that sciences was a very difficult thing. It was a struggle for me to switch back. It was an identity crisis, but I eventually switched back because I told myself, looking at the life that my mother has lived, looking at the things that she always wanted me to be, my happiness, the struggle she has gone through so that I'd be comfortable, that she will also be comfortable making sure that I am also comfortable with what I actually wanted, not to just be buried in their own dreams. And so I switched off to the businesses of the art. But what I learned from her, what I knew from her, what I gathered from her that shaped my career breakthrough was study, moving from my mother. One of the women who is having a great impact on my career choices and decisions and the things that happen to me is my wife. Sometimes I feel down, she encourages me. Sometimes I'm confused, we talk through situations. They say that HR is there for everyone, but no one is there for the people in human resources. Guess what? When I get home, that's where I just load every other stuff. Some other women who have had impact in my life are women like Gilda Krabier. The first time we ever worked together on a recruitment project with Gilda, she mentioned 2 things. One of them was how she saw my sense of organization. She was well pleased with that sense of organization. The second was when she realized I spoke French, and then she did mention that, that there are a couple of opportunities that actually happen, bilingual opportunities, and in the future when it happens, she would put me in the loop. That made me to want to pursue more, to want to look more for bilingual opportunities. Eventually, I left Mercy Corps, but that was always in my mind years after. I'm talking here of 2016-17. Now it's 2022. I eventually had my first bilingual opportunity. Now my advice is that don't ever give up on your dream. If you're looking for that job, I know what it is to hunt for a job and you don't get it on time, but the experience, you still need to have the experience to get that job. Probably that's why the job is not yet come, but there's that job on your name, and it will come when the time comes. Moving from Gilda Krabier, I'll talk about Rabi Sani. Rabi Sani was, I'll put it like a friend, was a supervisor in some level because she was part of the SMT. So she fought many causes that were concerning me without even me knowing, so she was like the back-end fighter for me. I really appreciate all the support she has given. That sometimes when you have a supervisor that is giving you some toxic and trying to just influence the level you work in the office, and you have another person who is like coaching up, Rabi Sani was that coach person. Without Rabi, maybe I will lose my mind when I had that supervisor. Moving from Rabi Sani also, is there's another colleague who has been on my bench asking me to think away from human resources and go into communication. I'll talk about Regina Afiemo. Regina Afiemo has been very key. Working with Regina Afiemo, I have learned a few things. Learning those things actually have helped me as I continue my career, that you are not an island. You don't have to be a supermodel, a superman to be able to actually make it. Be vulnerable if you want, if there's need for you to be vulnerable, and then look for alliance, look for a pairing. Close to those will be Avril and Esther. Avril Gutsi and Esther Ndongo were both my supervisors, and they had a very influence in marking my tracks in the milestones of career progressions. They were both part of the recruitment panel that got me on board for my first management level position in the non-profit sector, in the NGO sector. And for both of them, I did have their respect. They did give me the maximum support required. Esther, for example, will be an ally whenever there's actually a challenge and I need to go to her and I say, okay, you know what, there's a fight here, I can't fight this fight on my own, it's bigger than me. And she was always there to be able to actually support me through the process. And Avril was a boss, a supervisor, I don't like using the word boss, a supervisor turned friend. And from Avril, I have learned that you don't have to be rude, you don't have to raise your voice to be able to get things done. She was more of a transformational leader. And I have learned a lot from Avril. We still keep in touch. She was an encourager. In Avril, the things I didn't see about myself, she saw them. She believed in my capacity beyond what I believe about myself. And some of those persons that actually had the opportunity to work under my supervision have actually also been very key, very resourceful in encouraging me to strive more for relevance and to know more. They have been very instrumental. And interestingly, in most of my career, most of the people who have worked under me have actually been female. And finally, not the least, I would want to talk about my current supervisor, who is Dr. Ima Chima. Dr. Ima Chima, I have learned a lot of great deal, and I'm shadowing her to understand more about the power of negotiation. It's something that she has. More about persuasion skill is something she has, and how to be able to gather the team together. She knows when to scold, and she scolded directly. You take it, you know she's scolding you, but still be in control. She knows how to encourage, and I must say that for the few period I've worked with Dr. Ima Chima, I have learned one thing is that. So she knows how to let your best foot be shown forward, but without you knowing that she's doing it. So she will just find a way to just carve it out and ask you to do this or tell you to do this, because she is looking forward to build, to make sure that your best foot comes up, and then so that by the time your first best foot comes forward, you'll be able to just carry the limping one along, and eventually there'll be that coherence, that unity. Briefly, that's what I had to say. A few days ago, Sunday, we did celebrate Mother's Day, and sometime on the 8th of March also, we did celebrate International Day of Women. I thought as much as possible to talk about some of those women who have had influence in my life. It's not that it's limited, but there are many more women who have done that. But for the sake of brevity, I just had to do that because I could talk of Iveta Uvri. All of these people have actually encouraged my life to a very large extent. Thank you so much for your time. Again, my name is Anselm. I'm your happiest HR, your career breakthrough sidekick, not side chick. And if you find out that this video actually is encouraging and that women have a lot of impact and influence, please just share this video. And to the men outside there, please, if you have an opportunity to celebrate women, to encourage women, please do so, because they're actually dealing with a lot of things that's actually happening in their lives. Thank you so much. Bye.